So we're back. I'm here with another casting call, and I thought today we'd talk about somebody that really matters to me, one of my favorite characters in comic book history, if not my favorite, one of my favorite characters even in the lore of anything, of movies and television and books and anything. That character is Moon Knight. Ever since I found out about this character, I learned about his history, all of the background, everything. I've read so many of the comics, I've watched some of the animated series he was in, I played the game he was in. I've loved this character. I know everything about him. I wanted to see this guy be brought to screen, movie or TV, something like that. Moon Knight is such a compelling character. He's a complex individual that we can really see develop a really good series out of, something that people would gravitate towards, something that you just think about and you'd walk away feeling like, do you like this guy or do you hate him? There's so much we can do with this character. So today, I thought, why not, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about who we should cast as Mark Spector, as Jake Lockley, as Stephen Grant. Who should we cast as Moon Knight? And this is probably a really hard role to cast. Not everybody can do it. This isn't just some simple thing like a Captain America where he's an everyday good guy, a good Samaritan, everybody roots for him. You can't root for this guy. He's villainous, he's tough, he's gruff, and he's really complex and destroyed on the inside. So, right off the bat, you'd have to find somebody who can play the multiple personalities, who can be this suave, but can be rigid and tough. So, my first choice for somebody who should play Moon Knight is Toby Stephens. If you haven't been following my reviews of Black Sails, you probably don't know who this actor is. He plays Captain Flint in Black Sails. Somebody like Toby, he's older, he's not a young guy, he's like 47. He has this gruffness to him where he's tough and he's aloof and he's just kind of intimidating just by his stare. Moon Knight needs to be somebody that when you first see him walk on screen, whether it be Stephen Grant or Mark Spector, you feel like this guy has been through some shit and he just has this layer above him. He's like a Batman almost. But we could go into a whole other conversation about Moon Knight versus Batman. I'd love to get in that one time. But somebody like Toby Stephens has this layer about him where he looks like he's intimidating and intense, but he can be soft, he can be nice, he has that way about him. It's something we need to see with Moon Knight, is a different layer, these different layers. And Toby Stephens has the look, he has the idea. He could totally pull it off. He's not my first choice. I just think he could definitely do something like that just makes him this larger-than-life character, but in a scaled-down way. And then my second choice, somebody who, if you like this character, you've read fan castings, this is a top guy that everyone says should play this guy. That's Jake Gyllenhaal. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. And if you wanted to cast him in anything, I'll be on board. This guy can act. He's really good at what he does. It's a shame he was not nominated for Nocturnal Animals, and an even bigger shame he was not nominated for Best Actor for Nightcrawler. Watch Nightcrawler, and if you don't see that performance as somebody like Mark Spector or as Moon Knight, you are not totally understanding how good of range Jake Gyllenhaal has. He could totally pull off a character like Moon Knight just based off his performance in Nightcrawler and all the other performances he does. He can do anything. The guy's a tremendous actor. He could pull this off probably better than most people. He has the look, he's about the right age, he's got the range, and he's got the weight about him where he could pull off somebody dealing with multiple personalities. I'd love to see Jake Gyllenhaal do something like this. It'd be incredible. It'd be just so gritty and intense. So another person a lot of people bring up when they're talking about their fan casting for Moon Knight is the actor Rami Malek. He plays the main lead in Mr. Robot. I'm a huge fan of Mr. Robot. I'm somebody who will defend the end of season 2. I think it's a really great series. It's one of the best series I've seen in a long time. And Rami Malek, he just has this other layer about him. He's so tough and so quiet. He's just such an underappreciated actor in everything he's done in Mr. Robot that he won the Emmy. He's just got this range and this quietness to him where you can tell there's more going on in his head than he lets on. And the way he portrays that on screen in Mr. Robot, it's incredible, it's mind-blowing. He's just transformative in a role. And giving him somebody like Moon Knight, he can definitely pull off the different suave guy of a billionaire or even have a taxi cab driver, just a regular man. He can pull off all those different ranges that you need for a character like this. Plus, he would look really good in the white suit of Mr. Knight. He could just totally do all these different ranges and roles for a character like Moon Knight. Rami Malek, perfect casting. I love the guy. Mr. Robot is really good. Check it out. Rami Malek for Moon Knight. I'll petition it. Hashtag Malek for Moon Knight. So these next guy, I don't know, maybe nobody's thought of this. I have Oscar Isaac. He is a really layered actor when he really gets down to it. Poe, I'm not going to give him as like a layered thing. It's Poe, Apocalypse, fuck Apocalypse. But if you've seen him in Inside Llewyn Davis as the character of Llewyn Davis, he's really depressing, he's really hard and gruff, and he's just got the feel of somebody that could pull off Moon Knight. I would love to see him have this chance. I know he's been in a bunch of big things. Even in Ex Machina, he's got kind of that like tough, weird layer to him where you just don't know what's really going on, how he truly acts. He could definitely pull off the more comedic sides of Mark Spector, even of Jake Lockley. He could definitely pull those things off. I would love to see him do that. I don't hate Oscar Isaac. Inside Llewyn Davis is one of my favorite movies from the Coen brothers, and I love a lot of what they do. And Oscar Isaac is a big reason for that. So Oscar Isaac, Moon Knight, I'd love to see it. He could do it really well. And coming right off of his Oscar win, we know that Marvel likes to do this, you know. They got Brie Larson. They, what's that guy? J.K. Simmons is Commissioner Gordon now. Casey Affleck. If we're going to the movie range, if we want to do a movie, I think Casey Affleck could really do it. Manchester by the Sea, not my favorite movie of the year. It was alright. It was really depressing. It was really somber. But I think if you give Casey Affleck range like this, he can show how good of an actor he is. Not just being the sad guy that we saw in Manchester by the Sea. If he's a really good actor, he could pull off all the other ranges of the scary, traumatizing guy, the fierce, the toughness. He could really pull it off. I can see him being a taxi driver. He looks like a taxi driver. That might be a weird thing to say about Casey Affleck, but the guy looks like a taxi driver. So, just give him the role. He can pull off all the other things too. I could see him killing people, losing his mind, kind of doing it. Casey Affleck, if they want to do a movie, I'm against doing a movie for Moon Knight, though. I would love to see it in a Netflix-style TV series. It would be their most gruff and rugged one yet. I would love to see that. But Casey Affleck, let's go movie. Let's put him in a Secret Avengers movie. God knows what we could do. Who knows? But Casey Affleck, I would love to see him try this. Do something like this. This next choice, again, this one is kind of weird. I've heard other people say they might like him to play the role, and that is Jon Hamm. Why Jon Hamm? I don't know. There's just something weird about seeing Jon Hamm like this. We haven't seen much of Jon Hamm. His portrayal as Don Draper was really like one layered, I think. There's definitely a lot more going on with him, and he definitely deserved all the wins he got. But I like that he can be funny too. He looks like Moon Knight. He looks like the character of Moon Knight of Mark Spector. I think he could definitely pull it off. I don't think we've seen the range for him to do it yet, though. I put him as kind of like the bottom of the list on here. He could definitely pull it off. I would love to see him do it. Love to see him try. I think he's got the range. He's got the talent. But at the same time, I don't think we've been proven that yet. I think he really's got the look, though. He's got the look. He's got the build. He's a little older, and that's what I like. I think Moon Knight should be a little older, not some young guy, because there's some traumatizing things going on in that head. So Jon Hamm, let's go for it, Jon Hamm. Let's see what you got. Now, the last male I have on this list is probably the most controversial one I'll put on here. That is David Duchovny. Fox Mulder himself. Why would I put him on here? Californication. That's why I'd put him on here. If you've seen Californication, even his work on the X-Files, David Duchovny, he's got this thing about him where he's probably insane, and he's got a lot of issues, some certain issues we won't talk about on this right now. But the guy can act. He's definitely got talent. He's older. He's in his 50s. He's like 56, I think. He's an old guy. He's gruff. And if we want to do something where maybe Moon Knight hasn't been active for a long time, I think David Duchovny is the perfect guy to bring him back into this world. And he's just got so much more to him than I think we give David Duchovny credit for. He can really pull this off. I think more than any of the other actors on here, he's got the body of work that somebody like Moon Knight could have. And I'm not saying Moon Knight, is like a sex guy. He's not going to go around sleeping with a bunch of people. But he's got the weight. He's got the appeal. David Duchovny could really pull it off. And he's an older guy. And I think he could do it. I'd like to see it. It's an interesting choice. I'm not sure if anybody else thought about that. In his younger days, I would even give it to David Duchovny too, when he's still doing the X-Files back in the day. And yeah, that's just another choice I'd give for him. So I always like to go back and think, what if the character was of the opposite gender and that? And then one time I will go to a female character and say maybe a male character. But right now, let's talk about who could be a female Moon Knight. A question I've never really thought about, but I have a few actresses here I'd like to see do it. First off, Tandy Newton. Just coming off the high of Westworld, Tandy Newton could really do something good here. There would be so much at stake, so much just weight to her performance. In Westworld, she was just so incredible. The way she handled herself in front of everybody, she could really be commanding, has a dominant presence that I'd like to see on screen as somebody like Moon Knight. And I think Tandy Newton could just really shine in a role like this, just bring another gravitas, more weight, probably more than any of the other male actors on here. She definitely has a presence on screen, and I think you just see her walk in the room dressed up as Moon Knight. She could really kick ass. She could really look intimidating and powerful. I would love to see it. And the final person I have on here, this one maybe people thought about before for maybe not Moon Knight, but for a character in the Marvel Universe or DC Universe or in a Star Wars universe. Tatiana Maslany on Orphan Black. She just plays so many different roles, so much to her. I'm so glad she won the Emmy for that. There's so much about her that we don't really know, and I think if she had a bigger breakout role like this, she could really shine, do something incredibly powerful and moving, and she definitely has played different people before, so she's got the personality thing down that Moon Knight would need, and I can see her doing all these different roles. It would just be really incredible to see. Really incredible to see. I think she could really knock it out of the park. Tatiana Maslany for Moon Knight. Hashtag Maslany for Moon Knight. I'm going to have that one too. Malek and Maslany. There you go. There's the two hashtags. So that's going to do it for me. If you agree with these choices, let me know. If you don't, well, who would you like to see? Moon Knight's a really complex character, and I would love to see him on the big screen, but not as much as I'd love to see him on a TV series on Netflix or something. So let me know what you guys think. I really would like to hear it. So that's me, and there's for you. Good luck, guys.